on Reuter, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like that. So I never associated it. Never was that.
Oh, come on, Jessica.
Well, yeah.
It's a video.
Oh, that's even scarier.
It's a video, a little Susan Poole party video.
Oh, that's great. Good for you.
Let's see what we got here. Whoa, look at all that.
Perfect. Perfect.
Look at all this stuff.
But then I decided that there would be a...
Susan out of her office. She has balloons, she has flowers, she has Kleenex. What else does she need? I'd like to welcome you to this celebration of Susan Poole's tenure as Director of the College for Seniors. Also known as a pool party. My name is Carol Taylor. I'll be emceeing this event. I'd like to begin by thanking the committee who put this party together. If you were on this party planning committee, would you raise your hand and look proud? And a couple of special thanks. Before we all started talking, Lee Cooper put together a CD for Susan with every song you have ever heard of that had Sue, Susan, Suzanne, Susie, whatever. And many you have never heard of. And that's one of the things Susan will be given. I'd also like to thank Leanna Preston, who scoured the country and found all those wonderful slides you have been watching and put that slideshow on together. Okay, you know the bad news. You know the bad news. The bad news is we're losing a talented director whose passion for this place has enriched all our lives for years. The good news, there's good news. The good news is we're not losing Susan. Because Susan has said for years, the only thing I don't love about my job is I never get to take any classes. Sure enough, 9 o'clock Monday morning, there was Susan in the 10th row, busily taking notes like the rest of us. And the most fun part of this is every time I pass Susan in the hall this week, and she has come out of another class, she says, "Oh my God, oh my God, he is unbelievable. Oh my God, she's terrific." It's like, yeah. Welcome to the student body. We have some folks up here who have worked with Susan in various capacities in the last few years. They've been students, they've been teachers, they've been committee members. 2 of them have been her boss, and they will be speaking first and last. Each of these folks has 3 minutes, this minute, okay, to say whatever they want to say about Susan Poole. First, in so many ways, is Ron Mannheimer, as in the Mannheimer Room. Ron, I'm serious, Ron was the first executive director of what was then the North Carolina Center for Creative Retirement, right? Much of what you see and who we are is a result of Ron's vision.
I know this, thank you very much. Press of a button. There, I've lost 10 seconds already. I know this may be coming a bit late, but I have to tell you that there were a number of reasons why we should not have hired Susan Poole as the director 7 years ago. One, her language. She was known for exclamatory eruptions such as cool beans or wow, and other colorful expressions that reddened the ears of some of her peers. Besides, no one knew what cool beans were and whether you ground them or ate them with a spoon. Employment status. Susan had been a volunteer serving on the College for Seniors Curriculum Committee. No one had ever made the status jump from the volunteer to paid staff. This seemed to some, no names here, like a bad precedent. It blurred the distinction between employees and members and who gets paid for work and who does not. Plus, volunteers were supposed to be retired already. Why would someone want to go back to work? Susan's motives were suspect. Obsolescence. Rumor had it that Susan lacked skills of the digital age like familiarity with using a database or spreadsheets. Was she still capable of learning new tricks? The position didn't require a typing test, so we couldn't find out about her speed and accuracy. We did have a file card alphabetical sorting test, but she did well on it. Then there was the issue of Susan's previous employment. Just how would a toxicologist fit in at a liberal arts university? 4, orientation. Appearing periodically with multicolored, spiked hair and vaguely Irish gypsy-ish attire, there seemed to be some uncertainty about Susan's level of both decorum and patriotism. Of course, the hiring committee couldn't ask an applicant about their personal life, but there was some question as to whether NCCCR, now OLLI, was ready to deal with such an unconventional female. After all, the Reuter Center was full of these old people. 5th, spoiled. Finally, there was the issue of respect for authority. Word had it that Susan was a bit of an iconoclast and a rebel. Also, she did a lot of seemingly indiscriminate hugging. Would she be able to follow orders, especially from the Grand Poobah, Dr. Mannheimer, also known as the Big Cheese? Or would she just throw her arms around his neck and get away with murder? There it is. I can tell you now that we were more or less forced to hire Susan. Her charm, quick wit, demonstrated just then, persistent cheerfulness combined with a beguiling quirkiness seemed like such a good fit with the rest of the staff. And the committee members fell under her spell. Maybe it was a big mistake. Time will tell.
Our second speaker is Alice Green. Alice has also been here from the beginning, as in the Art and Alice Green Cafe out there. Alice is one of the reasons we have this beautiful building that is the envy of every other college. Because Alice raised money to build it. Alice raised a boatload of money.
If you've been around here for quite a while, you may remember my husband, Art Green. He was a joke teller and a real people person. And one day, he was in a medical office downtown. It was probably a chiropractor's office. And there he met Susan, and the next thing she knew, she was coming up the hill to the college for seniors. Yes, that's what we used to call this place. Knowing Art as I did, I know he would have claimed that he was totally responsible for her being here, and I have to admit that he was.
Never get between Susan and the person she wants to hug. Our next speaker is Paula Withrow. Paula is a fixture around here. Student, teacher, committee chair. If you've heard about this teacher who comes to class in costumes, Paula.
Yeah, when I was told it was a pool party, I looked at myself in a bathing suit and said, no way. Mark Spear, however, is wearing a Speedo, so we'll go to that later. I looked at this as a kind of a gathering, and I thought to myself, what are the reasons why people gather together? And there's usually three major things. We gather together for weddings, which are celebrations. We gather together for funerals, which are times of mourning. And we gather together for retirement, which is where we wish well to people. I thought, well, I didn't want to just stop there, so I wanted to think, what were some really profound quotes that might suit some of these occasions? So to paraphrase, we come to praise Susan, not to bury her. If you don't know the sources for some of these, there are a lot of English people in the group, so you can do that. Okay, so then I thought, well, it's not a funeral, so let's move on to retirement, the subject of retirement. And I thought, a quote here, again, paraphrased, but you've retired, Susan. We've heard of you living the life of a hermit with your bees and your books on a small farm in Ireland. And I thought, well, that's a little too Sherlock Holmesy. So I thought about a wedding. Okay, none of you, except I think Mary, have a glass. But the best part about a wedding is, let's raise our glasses and say a toast. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to try not to tear up anymore. So I had to write these things down because I didn't think I could do this really well. But anyway, to Susan Poole. And the rest of you can do your glasses when you get to them, but you can do it in symbol here. College for Seniors Director Extraordinaire. A wonderful faculty mentor for all of us who've been on the faculty. The exceptional editor of our somewhat wordy proposals. I love it when you look at it and you see all that red ink and think, my gosh, I'm back in school. I did well. She's the person who works us and helps us through those somewhat unkind evaluations, the one who tells us not to take it seriously, but we do. She's the one who's compassionate with everybody, members or anybody. She writes the letters to console you if you're dropping a class or if your class didn't go. She writes letters to cheer on instructors. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Every member has at some point in time, if you haven't, you've only got a week to do this in, gone to her office, and there she sits on that ball thing, just an amazing chair that I covet, and she's got this smile, the door's open, and you walk in there, and she's got this bring it on attitude, and you either dump on her, you cry on her shoulder like I did last week, all kinds of different emotions go on to here. And then there's the one I was reminded that I needed to incorporate today, and that's some of her profane exclamations. You covered one, two. You missed the one about "it just sucks." That was usually what she said at every orientation when she was referring to the fact that she couldn't take classes. It just sucks. And then most importantly, she's a best friend forever. So, the asylum is running like a clock right now, so it's time for the clock winder to go on to her new passions. So like everybody here, I want to thank you from the top, the bottom, and both sides of my heart. Thank you.
And then there's crap. Our next speaker is Judy LeMay. She is currently chair of the OLLI Steering Council, the umbrella organization that keeps us all in line, sort of. And she is one heck of a class rep.
It's an honor to pay tribute to a Susan who is smart, unstoppable, sensational, amazing, and nurturing. And the best excuse for a pool party that I can possibly imagine. Susan, I hope you'll take advantage of this time to hang up the Google Docs, turn off the alarm clocks, go for long walks, snuggle with a grandchild, and pop a cork on the favorite champagne. The best of the times is here. Thanks a million for the million ways you enhanced our OLLI experiences, and I look forward to seeing you in class soon.
Our next speaker is Jim Lindbergh. He is the previous chairman of the Steering Council. In case you've never been able to get into one of his classes, because they always close out, now you get him for 3 minutes.
I've been noticing lately that we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the movie The Sound of Music. And when I tried to put together my program, I thought, well, might find a way to connect that to Susan's retirement. I first came up with the idea of a little goat herd. My wife said, absolutely no way you do that. I thought about Edelweiss also, but then I ended up with that song, What Do We Do With a Problem Like Maria? So here we go. How do we honor a person like Susan? But then I began to search for words that rhymed with Susan. What first came to mind, quite frankly, was boozing. You know, we do a lot of that around here. Then I thought about cruising, but we're really too old to do that now. Then the other words came up like confusion, self-delusion, illusion, transfusion, and contusion. None of those would work. But after much thought, I came to the conclusion. How do you honor a person like Susan? How do you keep a wave upon the sand? So let's be clear so there's no confusion. How do you hold a moonbeam in your hand? How do you honor a person like Ms. Poole? How do we express a grand thank you? So how should we honor our precious jewel? All we can say is, may all your dreams come true.
You see why his classes always close out. Our next speaker is another, well-loved instructor with a devoted following, including me. So your classes always close out. You gotta really work to get in there. Mary Lasher.
The first time I met Susan Poole was in 2006. She was had recently joined the Reuter Center, and she took a class of mine on Central Asia. And somewhere during the class, she said, we were talking about Central Asian food. She said, oh, I know a lot about Asian food. Let's have a party after this class. So I said, okay, let's have some tea, they drink, and cookies and so forth. She said, oh no, I'll take care of it, leave it to me. So she put together, there were a couple of slides here that you may have seen that were taken of that party. We had a party for the people in the class, and then about half of them invited their spouses. I think it was at 6 p.m. She had a dinner. She organized a crew in the kitchen to cook rice and veggies and entrees and fruits and desserts and tea. And I thought, who in the world is this incredible creature? What spirit she has. Okay, so 2 years later, she was appointed director of college for seniors. And although that had been running very smoothly and well, there was something that began imperceptibly as a transformation, or not really a transformation, but what's the word I have down here? Sort of a cultural change upstairs. And I began to wonder exactly what it was, what was going on. The staff had always been terrific, but it seemed like it was infused a little more with friendliness and a sense of fun and conviviality and loving parties, and also openness, very much open, and friendliness and so forth. And so I began to think in my head that this was the spirit of Susan that was infusing this and changing the culture. A cultural change has so much to do in history, and it certainly has a lot to do with the history of the Reuter Center and OLLI. Okay, why was she able to pull this off? Because of who she is. Susan is, as you know, incredible, but I want to mention just a few things that I think are unique. First of all, she has superb judgment. She can size up a person immediately. She also is intuitive, which I think goes along with judgment, along with imagination and creativity. She can sense any little nuances of undercurrent dissatisfaction or disagreement or conflict or anything. She has a sixth sense for stuff like that. She is a superb manager. She knows how to manage a group like upstairs better than most people better than anybody who has degrees and certificates and all that jazz in management and group therapy and what do you call it? all that kind of stuff. What is it? Oh well. Anyway, she is superb at that. She also is sharp as a tack. Susan appreciates the content that we deal with in classes. She knows a lot about astronomy, dance. I've heard her say so many wonderful things about dance, music, astronomy, history, literature, the marvelous literature classes that are taught. She really has a deep appreciation for content, and that really appeals to me because there's so many people in management and what do you call this thing, public relations, who don't know anything about the content. They just know how to go through the motions of this and that. But Susan doesn't go through the motions of anything. One of the things that endears her to us is that when you talk to her, you are talking to a human being. It is a one-on-one. She is not a machine talking to you, and she's not some kind of position or status talking to you. So I wanted to mention in closing that about shortly after Susan became director, this guy had retired and moved to Asheville. He had a very prominent, very successful career, and he was just getting familiar with college for seniors, and he said to me one time at dinner, there was a whole group of us having dinner downtown at a restaurant. He said, "Mary, I want you to do something for me." We're good buddies because he had joined the Duke Alumni Club, and we were in that together. And so he said, "Introduce me to Susan Poole." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "That woman is stunning. I could really go for her. I could really call for her." And I said, "I understand. I love Susan Poole dearly." And he said, "I could too." I said, "I love her dearly, but I'm sorry to tell you, she has a significant other." I thought he was going to fall off the chair. Actually, okay. I want to close by saying that there is no kind of monetary salary remuneration that could repay for what you've done. But you have earned your keep here, not in terms of financial remuneration, but you have earned it because you have endeared yourself to everybody in this program, everybody in this building. The Susan spirit will be here forever. You will be out having the fun of a lifetime and spending time with your grandchildren, your beloved grandchildren and children, and your significant other. But you will always leave your spirit here. Thank you, Susan.
Our next speaker, speaking of staff, our next speaker is Ann Mock. If something is going really smoothly around here in college for seniors, Ann Mock is involved in it somehow.
Susan, shortly after you became College for Seniors Director, I soon realized that you and I have an awful lot in common. We love this place, we love people, and we love this wonderful place. We also love dearly and with great pride our spouse, our grandchildren, and our children. We also share a love for scarves, for chocolate, for good bread, cheese, red wine, and Talenti coconut gelato. So, my friend, my gift to you is a couple of pints of Talenti coconut gelato. Carrie, don't let her eat it all at one time because we know she can. Susan, I love you dearly, and thank you for the years of being my friend and my incredible boss lady. Thank you.
Our last speaker is Catherine Frank, the Executive Director of OLLI Asheville, and the main reason we are OLLI Asheville, because she was able to use her connections to bring us into that wonderful umbrella. Dr. Frank.
I also come bearing gifts. The poet Maya Angelou once wrote, "I learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Susan, all the people in the room today have been touched by the things you've said and the work you've done, but they're here today because of the way you made them feel. We wish you well in the next days of your life with OLLI. It will be nice for all of us to see you savor the many classes and events that you shaped for the past years. And so we have a few tokens to express our gratitude for the ways you've touched us and as individuals and as a community. As Carol mentioned earlier, Lee Cooper, who teaches great courses on popular music, has put together a CD of songs with Sue, Susie, Suzanne, Susan in the title. And I haven't checked the rhymes on this. But we hope that these songs will be part of the soundtrack of your retirement, a time when you can focus on your needs and enjoyment. And thanks to Lee for his thoughtful commemoration. Jill and Lee Cooper worked with a glass blower in the River Arts District, Hayden Dakota Wilson, to create 2 unique glass flutes with a splash of UNC Asheville blue in the design, and they're all in here, so that you and Carrie can toast your success here and the joy of the next days of your lives together. When the Coopers were having these made, it was the chilliest part of this very dreary winter, and they told me they enjoyed the chance to be warmed by the glow of the glass furnaces as they talked to Hayden. And it struck me as appropriate that we honor you with something made of glass, an art form in which material shaped with heat and motion results in things of use and beauty. With your warm, compassionate attitude, you've worked to transform the energy and talents of our instructors, committee members, and participants into a balanced and vital curriculum. We hope that in drinking from these glasses, you can savor all of that good work and the many transformations you've made possible. And what would champagne flutes be without something to put in them? So, we've also tucked in a bottle of Veuve Clicquot to be consumed when the time seems right.
Now.
Unless you have a straw, I think that's champagne from the House of Clicquot was instrumental in establishing this effervescent drink as the darling of the bourgeoisie and the nobility alike throughout Europe, and we know champagne is a favorite indulgence of yours. The widow Clicquot inherited her family's business, and under her guidance, the firm, which had experimented with a variety of products, focused on champagne for the first time, and they had great success. And you've always worked with a great focus to keep our curriculum process running, and it has led to an increasingly effervescent and committed group of participants. Finally, we've compiled an album with all of the comments that people sent to let you know what your work here has meant to them. One of the letters is from our friends at the Osher Foundation, philanthropist Bernard Osher, Foundation President Mary Bitterman, and Senior Program Officer David Blazevich. And the letter really sums up all of our sentiments in the following statement. Your thoughtful, inclusive approach has encouraged an ever-increasing number of seasoned adults to participate in the Institute's enriching educational offerings, to become actively engaged in a dynamic learning community, and to form new and lasting friendships. We hope you take great pride in all that you have achieved and the many ways that your work has enhanced the lives of older adults in Asheville and beyond. We applaud your tremendous achievements, Susan, and hope that you will always consider yourself a valued member of the Osher Ohana. And I'll explain to you what Ohana means. Mary Bitterman, who's the president of the Osher Foundation, worked in Hawaii, and the Hawaiian influence often finds its way into communications from the Osher Foundation. In Hawaiian culture, Ohana means family, including blood-related, adopted, and intentional families. This is a fitting way to think of our community of teachers and learners and your role in it. You may be leaving one role in that family, but you will retain a vital presence as one of the many people who are responsible for making this community the vibrant and dynamic place it is. And I want you to know that when I talked to David Blazevich about sending this letter, he said there was a very short window of time when he could get both Mr. Osher and Mary Bitterman to be there. They were leaving for a while. And so he called me up and he said, I literally had to tackle Mr. Osher as he was leaving to make sure that we got a signature. So even though this is a group of really extraordinary people, I would be willing to bet that no one else in this room has had a billionaire in his late 80s tackled on her behalf. And so I hope this exemplifies the ways that we wanted to do everything we could to make this day special. So, to continue the Hawaiian motif, I say aloha. Goodbye to your work here, and hello to your enjoyment of retirement. Thank you for all of your contributions to our organization, and for the many things you've said, the work you've done, and the ways you've made us feel.
Wow.
Cool beans.
Cool beans. Those of you who know me know that I am just absolutely impromptu and really don't prepare. So this is off the top of my head. I kind of feel like Derek Jeter when he was honored at Yankee Stadium. He kept saying, just don't let me cry, don't let me cry, don't let me cry. So I'm going to try and get through this. This past weekend, I had an email from a member who said that she was very frustrated and disappointed that her course had been canceled by the instructor. That she understood that there were circumstances that happened, but perhaps our instructors should have more commitment to teaching. Thank you, that was my reaction. Except there contained a lot of four-letter biggies in this. So I decided to write her back and I said, I can assure you that our instructors are incredibly committed to this organization and to teaching, and they spend hundreds of hours preparing their classes. And they do so for free. I sent it.
And I said, before I sent it, I said, I hope you understand that due to circumstances in her family, that her family came first in her priorities. I can understand a lot about family coming in priorities. People have said, why now? Why are you leaving now? And I have two reasons. One is family. It is either an 8-hour plane ride to Ireland to see daughter and family, or an 8-hour car ride to Pennsylvania to see son and family. And it's always been on the job's time rather than my time. And whenever I do have vacation, it's with my children and grandchildren, and my partner and I have not really been able to take trips together for the last 7 years, so it's family. There's another reason, and it's a huge reason, and that has to do with all of the incredible instructors who give so much of their time and their talents. A very small but a very mighty staff, and all of the volunteers who have made and continue to make this program what it is today. I joke that I think it could run itself. You have all done so much to contribute to this program over the years, and I know you will continue to contribute. So this is really, to me, it's not a celebration for the director of the College for Seniors. This is a celebration of all of the instructors, whether you have taught in the past, whether you are teaching now, or whether you will teach for us in the future, for our staff, and for the incredible volunteers, whether you have been a class rep, a committee member, somebody who sat at a table at registration. So for me, I would like all of the instructors, all of the volunteers, and all of the staff to please stand so I can thank you. I hope you noticed that more than half of this room stood up. Part of the job that has sucked is I haven't been able to take classes, and now I can. I've known this program is great, but knowing it from the paper end of it as opposed to the participant end of it is very, very different. And this week, for the first time in 7 years, I started taking classes again. And I walked out of the classes just incredulous. I knew you guys were good, and I kind of knew how good you were, but experiencing it is something else. And now I can continue to experience all of the wonderful work that all of you do. Thank you for everything you have done for this organization and done for me. Let's have a party. What do you say?